Hello my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So guys, are you looking at blue star Kachina right now? It's undeniable that our sun has totally changed. It's gone from a yellow-orange color to a whitish blue. Is it making a transformation? Is it the blue star Kachina that is spoken of in the Hopi prophecies? Very, very interesting possibility. So in Frank Waters' writings on Hopi mythology, the blue star Kachina, or Sasquatch, is a Kachina or a spirit that will signify the coming of the beginning of the new world by appearing in the form of a blue star. The blue star Kachina is said to be the ninth and final sign before the day of purification, described as a catastrophe or world-engulfing cataclysm that will lead to the purification of the earth. So, is it possible that we are actually witnessing the birth of blue star Kachina? It's really fascinating when you look at the Hopi prophecies. Undeniable that our star is changing. As we've said, the earth is changing, our star is changing, the solar system's changing. There's evidence, if we believe it, that the entire section of the galaxy that we are in is changing. It's all about change. So, blue star Kachina, again, is supposed to be that happens before the purification, before the red Kachina. And the red Kachina is the purifier. So very, very interesting thoughts and interesting times that we live in right now. So the Hopis believe that humanity has been residing in the fourth world, and this is going to herald the beginning of the fifth world. And like the previous worlds, this world is also prophesied to be destroyed because of the corruption of humanity. Now there's an interesting part of it too, which maybe doesn't go along with the transformational idea of the sun being the blue Kachina itself. For it reads, "You will hear a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth that shall fall with a great crash, and this will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this, the ceremonies of my people will cease." And so the idea of this blue star Kachina marking the end of all Hopi rituals is reflected in the book of the Hopi, which he states, and this is talking about Mr. Waters there, the end of all Hopi ceremonialism will come when a Kachina removes his mask during the dance in the plaza before uninitiated children. So we see everybody always relates things to themselves. Obviously, the Hebrews related everything to themselves in the Bible. The Hopi are doing the same thing. It's only natural that we relate these signs and times to that which affects us. Now what's fascinating is too, when you look at the work of Diehold Foundation, Douglas Vogt, worked for NASA. And so he comes across as kind of a whistleblower. This is what he thinks. He thinks the Earth is going to experience what it experienced before, which is basically a nova of the sun. The sun's going to actually go nova, not supernova, where it explodes and it's gone, but in a period of transformation where it's going to have a mega eruptive event, like a more massive CME, where it actually sheds its outer layer, and the Earth will be, well, the side that was facing it will be pretty toasted, and the other side, will have perhaps some survivors. Now, I was just rereading the book, The Adam and Eve Story by Chan Thomas, the unedited version, not the CIA official redacted version. So, in that, again, it says less than 1% of people survive. Less than 1% of anything survives, all animals and all creatures alive on the earth. So that's not a good outcome, really. I mean, we could see that. Do I think that's happening in our lifetime? I don't know, honestly, and I don't think any of us really have all the answers, although some people really, they think they have it down, completely figured to the day, month, year. I don't think that's really possible unless you were perhaps on the inside, the very inside, and we know about that with the secret societies. And even them, they probably don't know exactly, unless it's really a manufactured event. And we've talked about different alien intelligences and extraterrestrial intelligences, and if a society is even just 1,000 years ahead of where we are now, can you imagine the technology they would have? What if they're 1,000,000 years ahead? What if they could control entire star systems, entire galaxies even? Then you can't take anything off the table. But what he says, Douglas Vogt, again, Diehold Foundation, is that the sun is going to go through a blue phase, and then it's going to go through the white-blue phase, which we are well into right now. There's no denying it's changed. You could just look at it for yourself. It's not yellow and orange anymore. And then it's going to turn red. And then that's when the nova happens, and that's when we go back to zero and we start all over. Those that survive the cataclysm. It does fit in line very well with the Hopi prophecy in many ways, in many respects. And then we hear of that galactic superwave that is traveling through the galaxy and actually turning stars red. And then it all does kind of make a lot of sense. We also have talked about the fact that we're in the photon belt. And so perhaps this is what happens. Again, if you look at the precession of the equinox, it's like 25,920 years, I believe, and I might be wrong on the exact date because I'm just flowing with this. But if you split that in two, that comes down very close to how the cataclysms come about, roughly every 12,000 years or so. And then we're in this zone for about 2,000 years, which leads to a quickening of consciousness, a rapid evolution of life on the planet, and a golden age that develops. So, but after this dark age, and then after also cataclysms each time. So are we witnessing right now the birth of blue Kachina in the skies over our head? And will this blue Kachina turn to red Kachina? How long will this take? What is this process going to take? Is this process going to take 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, another 100, 200 years? If you listen to Diehold Foundation, he thinks 2046. That's when he believes. And I also have from some of my sources that are in deep within political circles that time frame sounds about right. As far as major changes, they have again said really the big stuff kicks off around 2024, 2025. That's when we're realizing that we're no longer living in the same situation. Everything has totally changed at that point, completely changed. So it's all very interesting. And then we also have Comet Borisov. Now, is that the comet that shall run of Nostradamus? Is that perhaps blue Kachina? It is interesting because it's different, because it's coming from above. It's coming from a totally different area that we haven't seen comets come from before. And we have talked about Oumuamua as well, coming from the same area and acting very much like a spaceship. Circling around the sun, using the sun's gravity, and then shooting out to space in a totally different direction. Even scientists said that was not unnatural type of thing. It just boggles the mind. So, what is the truth? What is the timeline? The thing that we have to keep in mind is that we are co-creators in this reality. So, we must recognize the fact that perhaps a lot of this is being seeded to us to create a certain reality. Perhaps even a lot of the prophecies have been given to us. Perhaps they were a warning, or perhaps they're sowing the seeds of destruction. Now, there's also the thought of timelines and the Mandela effect. Can we timeline jump? I personally believe we can. I've had a couple of times in my life where I went to bed and there was a certain major life situation going on, and when I woke up, it had never happened. And I know that was a timeline shift. I know it was a timeline shift. It wasn't a dream. It was real. And that's happened to me more than once. Has that ever happened to you, where you went to bed and perhaps it was you lost your job, or perhaps it was you broke up with your spouse, or something major happened, a health scare, and then you wake up and it just never happened. And you're like, wow, was that just a bad dream? Or did you actually change timelines? Did you jump into a different reality? So, will there be some that escape all the cataclysms and destruction? When we look at the rapture, there are those that believe in what we call a pre-tribulation rapture, where the believers are taken out ahead of time. And there are those lines of thoughts in other traditions as well, about ascension and about escaping all the cataclysms that are coming. Is it possible for us to escape the cataclysm? Well, this is the time of purification, so the most important thing for us to do right now is to purify mind, body, and spirit as much as we can. That is the number one job for us in these times. Don't allow yourself to be pulled into negative vibrations. Don't allow yourself to be pulled into a defeated mindset, a mindset that says, oh, I'm just going to die and suffer. We can't allow ourselves to be pulled into those things, because you will experience those things. If you believe you're going to experience those things, you will. That's just how the universe works. So the most important thing for us right now, my friends, is our own frame of mind. Releasing anything that's negative, that's tying us down. That might be relationships, that might be food choices, that might be work situations. Move into any sort of situation and opportunity that will allow you to feel nothing but compassion and love. Do it as best as you could, and I would recommend as soon as you could, because the world is changing around us, and we don't want to go down that dark path. This is a time of personal transformation, personal rebirth, and we can do that. It is a choice. I do believe it's a choice. I don't believe in fatalism. So my friends, as always, like, share, subscribe. I thank you for your support in Patreon and Ko-Fi as well to keep the channel going, as without a doubt the censorship is just at such a high degree that the channel will not be able to keep going without changes. And we're going to make those changes, and we're going to get through these times, and we're going to pull each other up through these times. That's what we're here to do, to lift each other up and experience a beautiful new reality. As always, my friends, God bless, and